All right, welcome. My name is Jay O'Brien, and if you're watching this video, you most likely are enrolled in my digital photography class through Laramie County Community College. I wanted to record a quick welcome video and get you kind of acclimated and hopefully get an idea of who I am and what I'm like. I've taken actually my share of online courses, and I've taught quite a few of these now at this point, and I've really found that one of the most difficult parts to an online class is making that personal connection and feeling comfortable sometimes, and just really understanding the workspace. I know every instructor sets these up a little bit differently, and so I want to make sure that you guys understand what my expectations are and how I set this up. Let me first kind of introduce myself. One of the first things we're going to do is we're going to have some discussions where I want you guys to get comfortable with each other, because hopefully you're going to be doing some critiquing and asking each other questions. I do my best to try to recreate the classroom experience. One of the things that's missing in an online class is that you never get that face-to-face time. You know, you go to a face-to-face class, you have a lecture where maybe the instructor is actually doing most of the talking, but then there's also opportunities to ask questions, meet your peers, and get additional information. And I want you guys to be public about questions that you have when you have them. There's not as many discussion spaces, but do use them. I mean, if you're having trouble, one of the first discussions is about the use of layers in Photoshop. If you're having trouble with layers and you want to ask me a question about layers, of course, ask me a question, email me, call me, whatever. But also go ahead and throw those questions out into the discussion spaces, because chances are, if you're having a question, if you're struggling with something, one of your classmates may, or in fact is likely to be having the same kinds of questions and struggles. Some of these concepts are complicated, particularly for folks who are brand new to these concepts. Okay, but again, I want you guys to be comfortable. Want you guys to know each other. Start with myself. Again, my name is Jay O'Brien. I am a multimedia instructor here on campus. Some of you guys actually know me and have face-to-face sections with me. Others I may never have met before. I've only seen you in online course spaces. I'm actually an LCCC student myself. I actually graduated with a degree in mass media back in 1998. Went on to the University of Wyoming for a bachelor's degree in journalism, and then decided that I wanted to teach and branch out more into new media as well. I've always been more of a visual communicator, and I actually have a MFA in web design and new media from the Academy of Art University, and I finished that in 2013. I love photography, love media, love design, love visual communication. And I really enjoy teaching these classes. I tell people all the time, these are the fun classes. If you don't neglect them, if you give them the time, they're the fun classes. So let's talk about course layout, and I'm going to switch to a view so that you can actually see my screen here. If I can find it, there we go. All right, so now you should be able to see my screen here and my mouse. Okay, so this is what it looks like when I sign in. What you see might be a little bit different, and in fact, I know that they're actually going to be changing it just a little bit. But you should be looking for this digital photography class here. The options will be a little bit different for you. Now, this first page here, this launch page, it's helpful. If I don't often actually post news. The school may post news, and I may actually post news, but that might be useful. And then, of course, we have a number of due dates here. Where you're going to access the course content from, for the most part, is actually going to be under this tab that says Content. And under the Content tab, you'll find that we have a table of contents, and I have all the weeks listed out. And I've released most of the material to you so that you can work ahead. And in fact, some of you guys have already been in the course space. I opened it up on Monday because I had most of the content in there. I just needed to, change a couple of things, and I may change things, here and there. But what you're going to be working on right off the bat is available to you right now, and you should be able to go. So you're going to start, once you get to content and you see this, you're going to click on week 1. It obviously came up to right away. It's It's, you know, right there. And I'll actually post this video, so the video will actually post here. I'm going to email it to you and post it to you guys there. But what you'll do is each week after, you know, when you want to get started, you'll come here, and this is your guide. This is the roadmap for what we'll be doing for a given week. Now, the way I'm running these classes is everything's going to be due on Fridays. So I kind of run the week Saturday to Friday. So, you know, that means that first week we really got to get going. Hopefully you guys will see this email and jump in even early, because I want to make sure everyone has a chance to get in here and get some things done. I understand some of you will get in a bit late, and it's really okay, because I mean the only things I have for you guys to do the first week is just some reading, and then there's a couple of discussions where you're just going to introduce yourselves, and you're going to say that, you know, you've read and understand my expectations for the class. But you know, I'll try. Typically, you have like a little description. Some, you know, this week, obviously, where you guys are brand new. As we get further into the semester, there's less going on, less lecture, more time for you guys to be working on projects. So there's not going to be quite as much here. And you know, I'll expect that you guys are getting pretty comfortable with how I run things. So again, here, just, you know, it's a little introduction. Tells you what to read. We have a lecture presentation. I want you to read chapters 1 through 3 in the textbook. Sounds like a lot more than it actually is. I want you to find your camera manual, and you're going to read your camera manual. And then I have also a online discussion policy document that I want you to read. I actually try to record a lot of videos for these classes. Some of them have been there for a while. And they're a little older. In fact, they're even using older versions of Photoshop in some cases, but they're still relevant. This is actually a video of me giving the lecture that you'll find right here, the week 1 lecture, with one of my face-to-face sections for digital photography. So you'll get to hear me talk through the lecture and even field questions from the class. And then I have a little introduction to the Photoshop workspace, which is pretty important. That's one of the things we're going to do early on. Those first 3 chapters, you know, it's Photoshop, you know, digital photography. It's one of those things where when you look at it for the first time, it's really going to feel overwhelming. So what I tell people is you got to crawl before you walk, you got to walk before you run, and you got to run before you run with reckless abandon while carrying scissors. And that's, you know, that's how I like to talk about how you learn Photoshop. It takes some time. You'll have a little discussion. This week, it's just you're going to tell me that you have read and understand everything in here, and then you have assignments. Now, the assignment here says exercises 1. I group all the assignments, and I'll talk about that when I get into the syllabus here in a moment. But the Dropbox for that is in week 2. So you click on week 2, and here's the Dropbox for exercises 1. So even though it's not due until September 9th, you should start on it early. In fact, part of what you're going to see in here for assignments actually is incorporated into what you're turning in for the Dropbox here is actually incorporated in the reading assignments for week 1. So one of the things here is you're going to actually talk to me about your camera's shooting modes, and you'll probably won't understand what that means until you've gone through the lectures and the manual for your camera. So again, this is the basic walkthrough of what you guys are going to be doing week to week. So before I jump into the syllabus, and I'm going to actually pause here for a second. My dean just darkened my doorway. I'm recording a video for one of my online classes, and I probably have another 5 or 10 minutes. So can I come back and grab you in a few minutes?
Yes.
Okay.
I just
okay.
Jump on the subject.
Do you want to come say hello?
I thought you were on the phone. Like, you're always on the phone. I just saw your office open. So I wanted to pass what I had done because I think we're close.
Okay. All right. I'll be over there in a few minutes. Sorry about that brief interruption, folks. Okay, so these are all the documents you'll have that you want to look through for week 1. I'm going to go into the syllabus and talk about a few things in the syllabus. This is my schedule, and one of the things I want to point out here for my schedule that you want to understand is when I'm available. This I have in here when my classes are, when my office hours are, and then I'm going to be doing virtual office hours this semester, which is something that's I've always offered students the ability to conference with me via Google Hangouts, but I'm actually going to have standing office hours where I'm just going to start a Google Hangout and I'm going to sit in there, and hopefully you guys are going to show up and I can do things like screen share with you and show you how to do things in the software. You can ask questions, so give us an opportunity to get some additional work done. But that's my schedule there. The next document that was in there is the lab schedule. Now, one of the things that you need to understand for this class is that, and you're going to see this in the expectations, this is a digital photography class, and so you're going to need 2 things for certain in this class. The first thing you're going to need is you're going to need to have access to a digital camera that is going to have some basic capabilities. So, and when I'm talking about basic capabilities is that we're going to talk about things like aperture and shutter speed in cameras. Well, your cell phone isn't going to give you that kind of control. So you are going to have some sort access to some sort of camera that at the very least has what we call scene modes. Scene modes are things like sports mode, macro mode. There's all kinds of them. We're going to discuss that and dissect them as we go through the first couple weeks of content. And I do actually have 2 cameras. For those of you who maybe don't have a camera, I have 2 cameras that I can check out. They're first come, first serve. So get on me as quickly as possible, because the first 2 students that say dibs get those 2 cameras checked out to them. The next thing you're going to need to have is access to the software that we use for this class. Now, that should have been in the catalog, and hopefully nobody signed up for this class not knowing what that was, that was going to be an exception. Excuse me, an expectation. The software you're going to need is Adobe Photoshop. Now, Adobe Photoshop, if you can't or don't choose to it's essentially a rental agreement that you would end up doing. You subscribe to it now with their new model. You could use the Mass Media Multimedia Lab on campus, and that's why you have this schedule here, because it's going to tell you when there's availability in the lab. If you want to get the software, subscribe to the software, you can actually get it from Adobe. And I'm just going to adobe.com here. This is happening in real time. And I apologize. Sometimes these videos, they're going to have interruptions because it's just too much for me to do these videos and actually edit all of them. So I'm actually going to be I'm going to do it, and it's going to be it's going to be what it is. So once you can navigate to a couple of different ways here. So you saw there, I said put buy now, and then it automatically went to this because I visit this page all the time. So here it is at adobe.com. I clicked on the buy now, and then what you're looking for is this student and teachers. And you see here photography. You're going to get Photoshop. It's also going to give you Lightroom for $9.99 a month, but you actually do have to sign up for a year. I understand that's a pretty significant investment. Now I know that, actually no, there's not another option here. You used to be able to do it month by month, but that's that's pretty reasonable. So something for you to think about if you're in multiple classes. If you're going to be in computer graphics with me, if you're going to be in desktop publishing with Jake, you may want to actually do this plan where you pay $20 a month and you actually get all of the applications that Adobe has to offer. That's going to give you Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, Dreamweaver, their whole package. So that's that there. All right, so the online discussion policy, you do actually get graded for your discussions. I do it, you know, that's why we need to read this. It's going to tell you how to do it. These are the course data files. I believe they are current. The book has not changed much. If we run into problems, let me know. I will help you get those files, because unfortunately the publisher has made it a little bit difficult for the files to be found. And then, of course, the lecture, which you can read and follow along with while you're watching that video. Let's quickly go through the syllabus now. All right. And I'm leaning over to grab a copy of the book here. Okay, so here's the syllabus, and I'm not going to read all this to you because I know you guys are going to pour over it. I hope you will. And it has a lot of the same basic information that we have here. First thing here that I want you to see is, of course, the instructional materials. It talks about Photoshop and a digital camera, which we already discussed. But then it also has that you need this textbook here. So it says that this is the Adobe Photoshop Creative Cloud Revealed. It's a really good series, the same series of book that we use for the computer graphics class and for the desktop publishing class. So once you've taken one of these classes, the book's going to be really easy. It's a fantastic book. I really love the way it works. What it's going to do is, then how the assignments are going to work is that the textbook is going to take you through, and you're going to do step by step by tedious step. In fact, this is what Chapter 1 looks like. So the in-chapter exercises, which are going to be required, are these tan tabs that you see here. And it's, again, step by tedious step. Then there's assignments at the back of the chapter. And I don't have you do any on the first chapter, but in the second chapter, I have you, this is one of the assignments you guys are actually going to do. So this is the back of the chapter exercises. So these are the things that are called project builders, skills review. So this is the skills review, and you'll do this for me as part of your first set of exercises. And then this is the project builder. This is actually project builder 2, so you'll actually do both of these. That's the file that you'll actually turn in. And then as we progress and you guys get more comfortable with the software, then I'm going to give you assignments that I'm going to give you fewer instructions for. So we have in the chapter, step by tedious step. Back of the chapter, some of the steps, but it's going to expect that you remember or refer back to the chapter to get some of the additional information that maybe you've forgotten. It's never going to ask you to do anything it's never showed you. And then I'm going to build on that again. And we'll get to the point by the end of the semester where I'm just going to say, do stuff, and expect that you have been paying attention, doing the exercises, and are going to start using your problem-solving skills and build your skill set to do things that professionals are doing with the software. We're going to do things like vanity retouching in this class. We're going to do things like we're going to do some pretty serious color correction by the end of the semester. You're going to hopefully get pretty comfortable with what color correction needs to be done. Layer masks and masking, and then kind of the culmination of the class is I have you guys find a photograph to restore, and then repair things like tears and watermarks, things like that, damage to photographs. Because I figure if you can do that with Photoshop, we've done something in this class. Okay, so I'm going to go back to sharing my screen here. There it is. All right. Okay, so that's the instructional material, standard stuff. Please do read all this, but I'm not going to go through it. Grades. I'm doing all the grading in D2L, so everything should be in there. It should be easy for you guys to see where you're at with the class. You may have to do a little bit of math. But I keep everything on a nice, easy scale here. I want to make things pretty simple for you. So everything's going to add up to 1,000 points by the end. Here's all the exercises. Like I said, I group things. And the reason why I group things is I want to simplify things and then also give you guys more time. Okay? So instead of having like a whole bunch of drop boxes every week, we're going to have one drop box every couple weeks. Okay? But the problem here is that you really need to make sure that you're on top of these things. If you wait until the last second to do this, if you wait until these are due, the first set of exercises are due September 8th, or 9th, sorry. If you wait till September 8th to do this, you're going to be in big trouble. You're going to be in panic mode. Start on these the first day of class if you can. At the very least, get the reading done. Okay? So here you see exercises 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're all grouped up. Okay? There are 5 quizzes, 20 points each. We have that retouching project I talked about. I do give you a midterm project. It's pretty light, and all I'm doing is reinforcing some basic things that professionals do with digital imaging software that I want to make sure that we're reinforcing. The color correction project, we have a retouching and color correction test. It's written and practical. The restoration project, here you can see the points for the discussions, and then there is a final exam. Word on the final exam, every single question that will appear on the final exam, you'll have seen somewhere else in the class. So you should be able to ace this. You have the study guide. Okay, let's see here. Oh, you know what? That's a mistake. That's not the, yeah, I'm gonna delete that. Yeah, don't pay any attention to that. The instructional material is Creative Cloud, which is the one up top. Looks like I carried something over that I shouldn't have carried over. My apologies. I will fix that. Okay, more standard stuff. Okay. Requirements for the classes. I do want you to read this, and I'm going to touch on it really quickly here because it kind of speaks to what, how you're going to have fun and what I expect of you in this class. Okay, online classes are hard. I offer online classes for flexibility, and I know some of you guys can't make it to a classroom section all the time. So most of the classes that I offer online, I also offer in the classroom. Now we're kind of moving things around because the school's gone through some changes in the last couple of years. But I do try to offer classes both online and face-to-face. I got my master's degree completely online, and I can tell you, doing a class online is more difficult than doing a class face-to-face. So if any one of you took this class online, or any class online, because you thought that it might be easier, let me correct you right now. It is not easier. It is harder. Okay? You are responsible for keeping up on things. We are not meeting, but we are synchronous. This is not a go at your own pace course. You do have to meet deadlines. So what it says here, this is really important. You got to be an active learner. You've got to ask me questions. You got to complete the reading. You got to study for the quizzes. I'm here to help you learn this. But if you're not, active in this, it's going to be really difficult for both of us. So I can't help you if I don't know what your questions are if you're not participating. So please participate. Start things early. Contact me when you have questions. And that's a really important thing too here. You've got to contact me. I want you to contact me. I want you to contact me often. You can email me. You can call me. All that information is on the syllabus. You can stop by my office. You can come to my virtual office hours. You can send me a singing telegram. If, whatever it is that your form of communication that you're comfortable with, I want you to communicate with me. This class is a fun class. I love this. I love teaching this stuff. If you neglect the class, it will stop being fun. It will not be fun. Because while it's a fun class, I also take it seriously. I'm trying to prepare you guys for what the professional expectations are going to be when you go out into the workforce. Okay, so I have some expectations here both for the classroom sections and online sections. If you're not in a classroom section, which this is not, you don't have to worry about this. Resources. I post things. I obviously this is on YouTube. I have lots of videos on YouTube. I try to put things where you're going to have them. As far as visual inspiration, I do keep a Pinterest account, and you can look at that information here. I talked about some of the equipment that I have that I can check out to you, but you need to jump on that as quickly as possible. A lot of other standard stuff, but you should read. And then here's the tentative class schedule. And I'm pretty good at sticking to this, but if I make a change, I'll let you know as soon as I can. And I'm a reasonable guy. If I change things, I'm not gonna, send out an email and say, whoops, I want everything to be due tomorrow. I'm always going to give you guys time. I want you to succeed. You know, again, I think these are fun classes that I teach because I love doing this. I teach specifically what I do because it's, you know, what I'm most interested in. And I want you guys to have fun with it too. Okay, so I think that is what I wanted to cover. That is it. Please contact me as soon as you can about any questions that you might have. And I look forward to meeting and working with each of you guys this semester. This should be a lot of fun. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I do.